It was a frigid night in Atlanta. The air was crisp, biting even, and a chill seemed to settle deep into the bones. K-9 officer Eliza Green stood on the edge of the deserted industrial district, her Belgian Malinois, Max, at her side. Join us as we follow the brave K-9 team in this incredible journey filled with mystery, suspense, and discovery. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you're as shocked as we were by what was found inside the vehicle. The night felt unusually still, as though even the air was holding its breath. Max's nose twitched as he sniffed the breeze, and Eliza could feel the change in his demeanor immediately. His body went rigid, his ears flicked forward, and his once calm gait turned into a steady pull toward the shadows at the edge of the lot. Max had been her partner for 5 years. In that time, she had learned to trust his instincts above all else. Their bond was unbreakable. And tonight, that bond told her something was wrong. "Eliza, stay sharp," she muttered under her breath, as Max's growl grew deeper. The only sounds around them were the distant hum of traffic, the occasional drip of water from the overhead pipes, and the soft crunch of their boots on the damp gravel. They had been working late shifts in the warehouse district for years, but this felt different. The usual noises were muted, everything quieter than normal. It felt like a trap. Max's body stiffened as he tugged the leash in his mouth, urging her forward. Eliza's hand instinctively went to her sidearm as they approached the dark corner of the parking lot, where a black SUV sat. The vehicle was eerily still, its windows tinted far beyond legal limits, absorbing the darkness around it. There was something about the car that didn't sit right. No plates, no movement. It was like the car was simply waiting. "Atlanta PD. Is anyone inside?" Eliza called out, her voice bouncing off the concrete walls. No response, only the faint sound of wind whistling through broken windows above. Max continued to circle the vehicle, his nose working overtime. His tail wagged briefly, then froze in midair. His growls deepened, turning into sharp, insistent barking, an alarm that made Eliza's stomach tighten. This was no ordinary bark. She could tell. It was full of something more primal, something dangerous. "Max, heel," Eliza commanded. But Max didn't respond. Instead, he scratched frantically at the seam of the SUV's trunk, whining with urgency. His muscles tensed beneath his tactical vest, his tags clinking with every frantic movement. Something was inside, and it wasn't good. Her radio crackled to life, breaking her focus. "Unit K-9, status report. Officer Green here. We've got a suspicious vehicle at Warehouse 12. Eliza responded, though her eyes never left Max. No plates, tinted windows, no movement, requesting backup for a vehicle search. Max's barking continued to grow more frantic. His growls echoed off the walls like a dozen dogs sounding the alarm. Eliza felt a twinge of unease in her chest. This wasn't normal. Max had never been this agitated before. "Stay with me, boy," she murmured, her voice softer now as she examined the vehicle with her flashlight. The wheels were caked in fresh mud. The door handles had been wiped clean, a professional job. This wasn't an abandoned car. Someone was trying to hide something. Then, as her light swept across the ground, it caught something shiny, a small keyring partially hidden under the bumper. Eliza's heart skipped a beat as she bent down and picked it up. A standard car key. But attached was something else, a small padlock key. A chill ran through her as she turned the key over in her gloved hands. It was warm, recently dropped. Max's bark grew more desperate, matching Eliza's rising heartbeat. Whatever was inside, it needed to be freed. Now, before Eliza could make a move, she heard the thump, faint at first, but unmistakable. 3 deliberate knocks, followed by another. A sound of distress. "Jesus Christ," Eliza whispered, adrenaline spiking as she drew her weapon. "Max, stay close." With her flashlight beam now focused on the trunk, she raised her voice. "This is Officer Green. If anyone's inside, make a sound again. The response came quickly. 3 sharp thumps from inside the trunk, urgent and frantic. Dispatch, this is Unit K9. Code 3 at my location. We have probable cause to believe there's someone trapped inside. Roll EMS. Eliza spoke firmly, though her pulse was racing. The sirens in the distance grew louder, but Eliza couldn't wait. She positioned herself behind the vehicle, weapon drawn, as Max stood guard beside her, barking in continuous warning. Time was running out. The thumps from inside the trunk were growing weaker by the second. I can't wait, Eliza muttered, her eyes narrowing. She inserted the key she had found earlier into the lock with practiced precision. A soft click followed, and the trunk popped open with a hiss. A wave of stale air hit Eliza's face as she raised her flashlight and saw the sight that would haunt her for years to come. Inside the trunk lay a young woman, no older than 20, bound with industrial zip ties. Dried blood caked her face, and her arms were covered in dark bruises. Her wide, terrified eyes reflected the harsh light of Eliza's flashlight, and beside her was a laptop that displayed multiple surveillance feeds. The feeds showed empty storage units, abandoned buildings, and rooms that resembled basement cells. The realization hit Eliza like a ton of bricks. Dispatch, I've located the victim. I need additional units. This is bigger than we thought. Eliza holstered her weapon and reached for her tactical knife. Ma'am, I'm Officer Green with the Atlanta PD. You're safe now. I'm going to cut these restraints. Can you tell me your name? The woman's voice was faint, barely a whisper, but it carried the weight of untold horrors. Emily. Emily Torres, she said. There are more. Others. The feeds. They're watching all of them. Eliza's heart pounded in her chest. She knew they had to act fast. Max's bark changed pitch, turning into a warning that Eliza had learned to recognize in training. Her eyes quickly scanned the area, catching movement in the distance. A figure in dark tactical gear darted between the nearby warehouses, disappearing into the shadows. Without hesitation, Max bolted into the night, his powerful legs carrying him with lightning speed toward the suspect. Max, wait, Eliza called, but Max was already gone. Her instincts were at war with each other. Should she stay with the victim, or should she pursue the suspect who could lead them to even more victims? Emily's next words decided it for her. He's coming back. They always come back to check. They never leave evidence behind. Eliza's heart froze. There was no choice now. Max's instincts had led them here. They had to trust him. The sound of Max's paws striking the cold pavement echoed in Eliza's ears as she sprinted after him, her heart pounding in her chest. Her mind raced with conflicting thoughts. She needed to stay with Emily, to make sure she was safe, but Max was on the trail. The K9 officer trusted Max with her life. And now, as always, she had to trust him. Eliza, hold tight. EMS is on the way, came the voice of her supervisor over the radio. But Eliza barely registered it. Her focus was solely on Max, darting through the shadows, his instincts guiding him with the precision of a finely tuned machine. The night air cut into her skin as she ran, the darkness closing in around her. Her flashlight swung in her hand, illuminating nothing but concrete walls and rusted metal as Max weaved between the abandoned buildings. It was impossible to see much, but Max had already picked up the scent. The hairs on the back of Eliza's neck stood up as she realized the figure in the distance wasn't just a shadow. It was a person, moving in and out of cover like a predator stalking its prey. Max's barking grew louder, more vicious, his growls deepening as he closed in on the figure. Eliza's heart raced as she pushed herself harder. The world around her seemed to narrow, her focus locking on the dark silhouette ahead. She spotted the man just as he darted between 2 derelict warehouse doors, trying to make his escape. But Max was faster. Eliza saw the flash of movement as her dog lunged, his powerful jaws snapping shut just inches from the man's leg. The suspect yelped in pain as Max locked on, dragging him to the ground with an almost terrifying ease. Max, stay. Eliza commanded sharply as she closed the distance between them. Her flashlight revealed the man's face, a middle-aged man with a hard, cruel expression, his eyes wide with panic as Max growled above him, ready to strike again if given the command. The man struggled beneath the dog, trying in vain to free himself, but Max held him firm, his strong grip unyielding. "Eliza, I can't move," the man shouted, his voice raw with fear. "You have no idea what you're getting into." Eliza approached cautiously, weapon still drawn, her eyes scanning the area for any further threats. "I know exactly what I'm getting into," she said coldly. "And you're not going anywhere." The suspect's eyes flicked to the darkness around them, his face filled with desperation. "You're too late. You don't know who you're dealing with. They're everywhere." Eliza's mind raced, the pieces of the puzzle slowly falling into place. The abandoned warehouse district, the surveillance feeds, the woman in the trunk. It was all part of something much bigger, something far more dangerous than a random car theft or kidnapping. "Who are they?" Eliza demanded, her voice sharp as she leaned down over the man. "What are they planning?" He let out a bitter laugh, his breath coming in ragged gasps as Max growled louder, sensing the fear that radiated from the man. "You won't stop them," he spat. "You can't. No one can. They've already won. They've been watching. Always watching." Eliza's blood ran cold at the implication. "Who?" The man's eyes darted toward the black SUV they had found earlier, and for a split second, Eliza could see the fear in his eyes turn to anger. "You don't know what you're dealing with," he repeated, his voice trembling. "Get out now, or you'll be next." Before Eliza could react, the sound of distant sirens filled the air. Backup had arrived, but the man's warning still rang in her mind as she gestured for her fellow officers to move in. "Get him in cuffs," Eliza ordered, her voice commanding. "He's not going anywhere." As two officers moved to apprehend the suspect, Eliza turned back to the direction of the SUV. Something was off. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was still a bigger threat looming in the shadows. Max's growls had quieted, but his intense focus remained fixed on the vehicle. "Max, stay," Eliza said softly, her hand resting on his head as she scanned the area again, feeling the weight of something unspoken in the air. "Officer Green," came the crackling voice of her supervisor again. "We've got units on the way to back you up. You need to get Emily out of there. Now." Eliza nodded, though she felt the unease settling deeper into her gut. "Copy that," she replied. "But something's not right. I'm not leaving until I know what we're really dealing with." Her mind raced. The feeds Emily had mentioned, the rooms, the basement cells, those weren't just random surveillance. Someone was monitoring these locations, controlling the movement of whoever had been trapped there. The implications were horrifying. A network of surveillance, the victims trapped and watched like animals, their lives controlled by an unseen hand. And then there was the man on the ground, struggling against Max's grip. He had tried to warn her, but she didn't have time to figure it all out now. Not while there were people still out there, people like Emily, people who were still being watched, still being controlled, and she wouldn't stop until she had answers. The sound of footsteps approaching from behind broke her train of thought. Two officers arrived, dragging the suspect to his feet and cuffing him as they hauled him toward the squad car. "Eliza," one of the officers shouted, "you need to come with us. We've got another lead on the surveillance feeds." With a sharp nod, Eliza turned to Max. "Come on, boy," she said, her voice steady but filled with determination. "We're not done yet." As they made their way back toward the SUV, the darkness seemed to shift, the quiet of the industrial district now broken by the sound of growing footsteps. The real game had only just begun.